Today, we're going to talk about one benefit, but it's a big one. It's flexible spending accounts. So let's talk a little bit about the different flexible spending accounts. There are 4 types that we currently have here at LSMNJ. The first is the commuter flexible spending account. The second is dependent care flexible spending account. Now, the second two sound like they're the same, but they're not. The healthcare flexible spending account, which is traditionally called an MFSA, medical flexible spending account. And then there's a health savings account. I will go in depth with each one so you can kind of understand exactly what benefits are offered and what they mean to you. So let's talk about commuter flexible spending accounts. All employees, whether they're per diem, full-time, or part-time, are eligible for the commuter flexible spending accounts. And what it's used for, it allows employees to put aside money pre-tax to use for qualified transportation and parking expenses. So let's talk about what those expenses are. There are 2 separate accounts in here, and you can do both because some people have to pay at a park and ride to get on transit. So transit is a qualified expense for a bus, a subway, a train, a ferry, or van pool fares, any of those types of things. You can set aside money pre-tax to reimburse yourself for those type of situations. And then there is parking. And like I said, you can have both accounts. Parking is if you have to pay for expenses near your work location or a location where you begin your commute, like a park and ride. So you can set aside money pre-tax to pay for those benefits. Uber and Lyft are not eligible expenses. So I know that a lot of people ask that question, and I know the government has looked into that. But at this time, Uber and Lyft and ride shares like that are not eligible expenses. The max you can contribute is $325 per month for the parking and $325 per month for the transit. So that's our commuter flexible spending account. All of this is done through WEX. It includes a credit card that comes from WEX so that you can actually just use it to pay for your expenses if you're buying like a train pass or any of those types of things. Now, dependent care spending. I actually have had quite a few conversations with employees that don't realize that this is something that they have. I mean, they see it at open enrollment, but they kind of forget it. And it seems to be right before the summer that I have those conversations with employees on why they're not using it, because a lot of employees may not have the expenses during the year, but summer camp, and people forget about that. So all benefit eligible employees can participate. So this is not for per diem. This would be more for our full-time employees and anyone offered benefits that way. It allows for employees to set aside pre-tax deductions to use specifically for dependent care expenses. This is a use it or lose it. So you need to make sure that you know what you're going to put into that account you're going to spend. Qualified dependents would be any child under the age of 13 or a person that is physically or mentally incapable of caring for themselves. So this could even be for a senior care, or if a disabled child needs some kind of daycare, that is included. Now, remember, this is the most important part. A married couple cannot exceed $5,000 in a year. So before you do set aside the money, make sure you check with your spouse if you are married, because you can't go $5,000 for each of you. So you could either both do $2,500 or one of you do the $5,000. You cannot go over $5,000 for a married couple. Hopefully someday that'll go up, but at this time. So let's talk about some of those eligible expenses. Before and after school care, a lot of folks have that. Any daycare, of course. Most nursery schools, it has to be a part of a daycare. It can't be a private institution. You can't use it for any kind of private school, but you can use it for the before and after school care if the child is in that type of program. Summer camp, that's the big one, and where most people spend a lot of the money. So it's important to realize that you could use it for that. Besides the private, you can't do private nursery or private school. Also, if it's a child, like I said, that is older and needs care, or a senior citizen that you have in your home that needs like adult daycare, you can use it for those types of expenses. So once again, you're setting aside this money. Now, it is a little different than a medical flexible spending where you have to have the money in the account to reimburse yourself. So it's important to kind of negotiate what you spend and know exactly that it's a come in and come out. So if you're putting the money out, you can then reimburse yourself, but the money has to be in the account to reimburse yourself, which is why I really suggest anybody that has summer camp to do it, because by the time summer camp comes, you'll have enough money in there to cover a lot of it. So that's our dependent care spending. Healthcare spending accounts. This is the traditional FSA that you hear about. All benefit eligible employees can participate. Once again, this allows employees to set aside pre-tax dollars to reimburse themselves for eligible expenses, dental, vision, anything not covered by insurance. So if you're on a high, well, we're going to talk about the high deductible plans, but if you have a deductible on your plan, you can use it for that. Your co-pays, over-the-counter medication, just making sure that it's listed, and we'll talk about that on where to research that stuff. Simple things like you can actually get things like women's sanitary stuff now. That's new. You can also get sunscreen covered if you've had a diagnosis of skin cancer. So there's a lot of things you can get over the counter with this. Also, your eyeglasses. Everybody knows that vision doesn't cover everything. Anybody that wears glasses knows that. So put away that money just for your eyeglasses. Dental, you don't have a deductible, but you do have some co-insurance. So all of those things can be used through this medical account. This is a use it or lose it benefit. Once again, there is some allowable rollover, but make sure that you're really, if you've never done it before, start small. Think about what you spend each month in prescriptions, in eyeglasses, in contacts. Set aside that money the first year, and then kind of put your receipts away each year to see how much you really spend. And you'll start to see that you could put more into it. I know this year, I feel like I need to put more into it. So some great benefits of having a healthcare spending account, it's tax savings. You are not paying taxes on this money going in, and you're not paying taxes when it's being used. Budget preparing for expenses. Now, anybody that's on this call that has a child that's in that braces era of their time, and you're heading into that, we do have great dental coverage for it, but it doesn't cover it all. So you could budget yourself to know that you're going to put that money aside for the braces. Convenience, once again, we have a credit card attached to this, very simple. The max that you can put away is $3,300 per year with a $660 rollover. So you can roll over some, but not all the money that you put in. Okay, so now on to the health savings account, traditionally called an HSA. This is for any employee and only employees covered under the bronze or silver Aetna plan, which has that upfront high deductible. We at LSM&J contribute $250 to that account as long as you put $250 in. This is your own account with rollover. It's yours if you terminate or change plans. Everything in it goes with you. Even if you left employment, it's your account. So it's much different than the other accounts that I just mentioned. But you can only be on the silver or bronze to have it. Like healthcare spending accounts, it does cover eligible medical expenses. So a lot of the things I just said are covered under the HSA. The difference is the allowables and the fact that you have to be on a high deductible health plan. This account is triple tax advantage. So once again, the money going in is tax-free. The money going out to pay for your services is tax-free. And if you start to accumulate money that gets any kind of dividends to it, that's tax-free. So even if you don't use this, the good thing is that you can take this with you in retirement. The max that you can put away is $4,300 as a single for 2025, with $1,000 catch up if you're 55 or older. The max for a family coverage, so which means if you cover one other person, you can go higher on the max. It's $8,550. So that's how the health savings account works. So let's talk about some examples that we can use. Employee A decides to take the bronze plan. Okay, and they're a wellness participant. So I've done a video about wellness. If you have time, go back into your Paylocity community updates and you can watch it. The wellness saves you a lot of money up front by taking $25 off, but we don't have as much usage on it. So get involved. It's a good way to save money. So the silver plan in our benefits costs $30 biweekly if the person was a wellness participant. The bronze plan is only $3.53 if they're a wellness participant. The difference between those is $26.54 a pay. So had you went on the silver, you would be paying $26 more. So if you decide to stay on the bronze, take the time to take that money that you were going to pay per pay, put it into an HSA account. So you'll end up with almost $1,000 by just putting away money that you would have paid if you were on the silver plan. And you can add more. Then we'll talk about that in a second. You'll end up with almost $1,000 with the contribution that LSMNJ makes for you. So that being said, if you don't spend that account, it rolls over into the next year. So think the same way. So you'll have a nice account in case any of those expenses happen. This plan is a little different also from an FSA is you can make changes. And anyone on this call right now, if you're on the bronze or silver and never set this up, you can actually join where anybody on the FSA cannot. The IRS does not allow us to do that. But the HSA, you can join at any time, you can stop it at any time, and you can change your deductions at any time. So it's important to know that if you're on the silver or bronze and have not put any money away, now's the time to think about doing it. Just contact me and I'll help you with enrolling in it on our plan source. So that's an employee that is not taking advantage of an HSA and what they should do to take advantage of it. Now let's talk about a sample about anybody doing any type of FSA. So let's take an employee that makes $35,000 a year. So we're going to look at the left side. Their estimated tax rate, we're just going to say, is 30%. So right away, their net annual pay that comes home with them is $24,500. So they have $2,000 in annual health expenses. Let's say it's deductibles. Let's say it's co-insurance. Let's say it's dental. Let's say it's glasses. They spent $2,000 that year. Their final take-home pay, because they didn't do anything, they didn't do any FSAs, is $22,500. So $22,500 is what they took home. Now let's look at the person that decided to set away that money in an HSA, an FSA, or even commuter, we're going to use healthcare here, HSA or an FSA. So their annual gross is still $35,000, but they took the $2,000 out with an FSA or an HSA. So now their adjusted gross pay is $33,000. So now we take the taxes away because remember, your money's coming off pre-tax. So the taxes are only hitting the salary after that expense comes out. So now their tax rate is 30%, just like the person on the left. But now they're only paying $9,900. So now they're taking home $23,100. So they're gaining $600 in their pay just by doing the flexible spending. The expenses haven't changed. They still have the contacts, they still have the glasses, they still have the deductible, but they set it aside pre-tax. So if you get yourself used to that, you're going to save a lot of money as time goes on. So I'm going to take the time with these samples to see if anyone has any questions. Okay, so let's look at those chat and see what we got here. So if you go on vacation and don't use your monthly allotment for commuter benefits, you do not, it won't go away. It does roll over. So that is not an issue. It's a little different than the flexible spending. Your flexible dollars at the doctor's office. So you are going to get a credit card. So that credit card can be used directly at the doctor's office. But I want to put this out there that if you are on the FSA, not the HSA, you might be called through an email or through text that you have to do receipt substantiation. And what I mean by that is I just had to do it recently. I had to go get my glasses. I used my WEX card in there for my flexible spending to pay for my glasses. Now, they then sent me an email that said, basically, I have to show exactly what I spent there because I can buy other things in the eyeglass store, which I'm not sure what else I could buy that is not covered, but they wanted to see specifically what I bought. So you may have that, but it's so simple because the credit card is there for you to use. Now, if you don't have the credit card or you don't like that idea, another way is to send your receipts in. There is an app for WEX and online, and they will reimburse you right to however you want, whether it's a card or, on, your account or in a check. For commuter benefits, no, you do not have to wait to sign up for open enrollment. That's usually can be changed also like an HSA. And then for the healthcare FSA, higher contribution limit for family, the FSA does not have a higher contribution for a family. Only the HSA does. So the HSA, once again, is one that you can make changes to. So if you are on a bronze or silver and don't have an HSA account at this point in time, it would be a really good time for you to sign up now, because you can do that where you can't do that with a regular FSA. Does anybody else have any questions?
For the HSA, Kim, how long does the changes usually take to go into effect? Is it by like the next month? Does it take like just one pay period? How does that timing?
It depends upon the timing, just like anything with our payroll. It depends upon how quickly you get in Plan Source. We get a feed every for payroll deductions. We get a feed the Friday before payroll. So if you made the change in Plan Source by the Friday before payroll, it will go in that next payroll, because that's when I go in and change them all.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So Anthony, you asked about a WEX card. How do you increase the balance on the card? I don't have your benefits in front of me, but if it is an FSA, you cannot increase it. It's whatever you put aside. If you were on an HSA, then you can go in and change your deductions to have more taken out. An HSA, they will only allow you to use what is in the account. Where an FSA, you have a little bit more flexibility, but you're not allowed to make changes. So Anthony, I will look at yours after and give you a call to see which plan you're on. I don't have that in front of me. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. So here's the fun part. WEX is the administrator for the plan. I did put their login information there that you can go in, check your account, see if there's any alerts, any of those things. And if you're missing your card, if it didn't get delivered, which does happen a lot with people, they'll call me and say, hey, I didn't get my card. I don't know where it is. And we can help you with that process. You can also call Benefits VIP to help you through. Now, the best place for you to go, especially now we're getting close to open enrollment time. I know I don't want to rush the summer, but to kind of understand things that you can get through these FSAs is to go on the federal government's eligible expenses. Another cool place to go for the folks that are on an FSA and they're at the end of the year and they're worried that they have a lot of money in there. Number one, I do call out to employees if they have a substantial amount of money and say, hey, you might want to spend down. But another place to go, Amazon actually has an FSA store, which is pretty awesome. They will only put up things that are FSA eligible. And there's a couple other places online where you can look up FSA eligible expenses. But like I said, Amazon, if you're shopping on Amazon and you need certain things that you are not sure if they're FSA eligible, they actually have an FSA store in Amazon. So anything like that, make sure you're checking to see what's allowable. There are things that you'll see on those allowable expenses that you'll be shocked. Like, for example, setting your house up, like getting a wheelchair ramp for someone that is disabled. You can actually use that, but you just have to have the receipts and substantiate it all. So that being said, that is the presentation. Now, any questions you may have, any ideas you may have about these benefits. And it's good to know that this is something offered to you. It's a good way of saving money. It's a good way of putting that all aside. Does anybody have any questions? Remember, bronze and silver people, start setting aside money because it will roll over. Let's just say you don't even need it this year. You'll have a nice account. And it's kind of like having another 403B. It's something that'll go with you and it's tax-free. And you could use it, as time goes on, if you, get to the age of retirement, You can use it for Medicare expenses and things like that. One caveat I did forget to mention, HSAs, you are not allowed to enroll them, unfortunately, if you are of Social Security Medicare age. That's the only caveat and unfortunate thing with an HSA. You can still do flexible spending, but the HSA is the only thing that you can't, do as anybody over that age. So does anybody have any questions? All right, so I will leave you with, remember, WEX is the provider. So if you already have an account, make sure that you're going in and checking it. And you can always call me or VIP if you have any questions. If you don't have a card and you weren't on an account, remember to call out and find out where that is. If you do join and you never did join before, keep an eye on your mail because the credit card comes in a very nondescript envelope. Don't just toss it out. Make sure you're checking for it. And big important thing, because everybody calls me every year in January, your card, whatever you do with WEX, that card stays in effect all the way up until its expiration date. So like, for example, if you do FSA each year, you're not going to get a new card. The card stays the same. It's just like any other credit card. It will not expire until its expiration date. So put that card in a safe place because that's the one that you'll use.